Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your weekly injection of mind-numbing local news. My name is Alex, and joining us, as he does every single week, is Rob. How are you, Rob?
Hello, folks. I'm not too bad, actually. I mean, considering what's happening in the UK and around the world, I'm actually, I'm feeling pretty chipper.
I don't know what you could be referring to, Rob. But look, Rob, something unusual happened today, didn't it, that we should let the listeners know about? Because rather than just speaking to your sort of disembodied head via this sort of webcam technology, we actually saw each other face to face today, didn't we?
We did, and I have to say, you gave me the birth present that you've been promising for some weeks now, and listeners, I'm delighted to say it's actually something that I genuinely wanted and do legitimately appreciate. It's a Funko Pop.
Sexual favour.
I wasn't going to mention that.
Quick hand shandy.
Yeah, around the back of the lockers. Anyway, so it's a Funko Pop of Marty from Back to the Future Part 3. Set obviously in 1885, so it's him in the cowboy costume that he obviously buys from a costume shop, and he's carrying his cowboy. It's in his hand, but he still has his Nike trainers on. I absolutely love it. So Alex, thank you.
That's okay. Can I just ask you, Rob? Do you keep it in? Do you keep your? Because anybody who doesn't know this about me, I've got a huge Star Wars pop collection. When we say huge, that's
it's
an understatement.
Quite immense,
so we won't even go there. But for Rob, do you take them out of the boxes, Rob?
No, they're all still in the box.
Right. What's funny about when I turned up at work today is Rob was in a meeting and I couldn't find him at Rob's workplace, so I sort of shiftily hung around his desk and then ended up just leaving the box under it. And then as I was leaving, I thought this could cause a call to the bomb squad, so I should probably hang around and make sure that he gets it.
Yeah, I must admit that after you left, the special branch did turn up. It was, but I'm not sure the two things were connected.
No. Right, Rob, is there any news before we get going?
I don't think so, no, not that I'm aware of. I think it's been relatively quiet. Obviously, we still had stories submitted, but let's just crack on.
Right, good, because I really, 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 really want to get on with this. I've got a story here, Rob, from Canada.
Cool, okay.
I love the name of this website, just Global News. globalnews.canada.ca.
That's very vague.
Yeah, but it's by Josh K. Elliott. Now, Rob... This is one of these things where I want to read the headline, but I don't want to read the headline, because by reading the headline, it kind of ruins the story, but the headline's too good not to.
Okay. Yep, yeah, I get it.
Prepare yourself. This is... Sorry. The headline is... This is a great way to start off the podcast, Rob. Semen-filled syringes recovered after grocery store stabbing attack.
I don't know where to start with that. Sorry, so was the stabbing with the semen-filled syringes?
You'll have to find out like everybody else, Rob. Maryland police have a man in custody and syringes full of semen in evidence after a bizarre attack at a grocery store last month when the suspect allegedly injected something into an unsuspecting woman's buttocks.
That's disgusting. I mean, that's truly repulsive.
What the fuck? Thomas Bryan... Now, Rob, this is where it gets weird. So, could you just remind the listeners what was inside the syringes?
Semen.
His surname is Steeman. Stemen. Steeman Seaman.
Is his first name Sturridge as well? Just out of interest.
No, it's Thomas Byron Steeman, 51, is facing charges of first-degree assault, second-degree assault, and reckless endangerment in connection with the February 18th incident, the Anne Arundel County Police Department said in a news release. Steeman was arrested last week after police released footage of a man appearing to jab a woman in the buttocks with a syringe. Police say the syringes recovered during the arrest have tested positive for semen, Rob. Spunk.
I'm assuming this is a relatively short story, but does it... I mean, what was he trying to do?
It's not that short. No, it's not that short. The substance in the syringe was semen, police said in an update to their initial press release on Saturday. However, they later told local news station WJZ, unfortunate, because that just makes me think of jizz.
Good point, yeah.
That they're not certain whether they've recovered the actual syringe used in the attack. We're unsure if any of those were the syringes in question, police told the station in what they said was an update. They said the victim is still undergoing testing. We need to find out what this victim is up against, if she was stabbed with one of those semen-filled syringes. Security footage. Can I don't know. If there's any way you can get semen-filled syringes into the episode title, I'd be eternally grateful.
I was going to say, I'm sure that has to be the episode title. I was just also thinking...
I think we might have a few more, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I was also going off on a tangent, just thinking if there was a radio station called Jizz FM, would I listen to it? Jizz FM.
Yeah, I think you're getting confused with Jazz FM, but yes, I would. I would use it. I would listen to it. What kind of music would it be? I think it would be jazz, but with a...
Do you think it would be quite scatty? I mean, I don't mean scat in that sense, but I mean like quite.
I think we should leave this, Rob,
freestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, okay, maybe Scatman could be the host. Security footage shows the moment when Steeman allegedly stabbed the victim, Katie Peters, with a syringe at the entrance to Sir Christopher's Fine Foods in Churton.
So, there you go. It was called Sir Christopher's Fine Foods.
Not Sir Christopher's Fine Foods.
Oh, that's a shame.
In the video, Peters pushes a shopping cart into the store and returns it to the lineup of empty carts, seemingly unaware of the suspect. Following a few paces behind her, he can be seen holding a cylindrical object in one hand. The suspect walks behind Peters, pivots, and appears to jab her in the buttocks with the object, which police say was a syringe. Rob, what was he hoping? I mean, he surely can't think he can impregnate somebody by doing that.
Well, that's the only thing I can think. That maybe this is a very lonely man who is concerned that
it's obviously a sexual perversion, isn't it?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I would imagine so. Like I say, maybe. Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's unfortunately a man whose family line is coming to an end, and so he thought maybe he'd be able to impregnate a woman. But if he thinks that's how he's going to do it, that's possibly why he's single.
Rob, Peters can be seen jumping as though she's been stung. She says she let out a yelp after the attack, which she initially thought was from a lit cigarette. He turned to me and said, "I know it feels like a bee sting, doesn't it?" So he said that to her.
That's a bit suspect.
She then found a puncture wound on her behind. I'm looking at the picture of him now, going up. I mean, yeah. I started driving home. It started hurting really bad. I called my son and he said, "Something's not right. I hope nothing happens. I hope you make it home. I love you." If I'm trying to calm somebody down, right, Rob?
Yep.
Yeah. Who's just had this unpleasant experience, they don't know what's happened. I'm not going to say in my reassurance, "I hope you make it home."
I'm assuming, but also if he said "I love you" to her, so maybe he's a stalker by the sound of it.
No, you're not listening, Rob. You didn't listen. She started driving home. It started hurting really bad. She called her son, and her son said to her,
"Right."
He said, "Something's not right. I hope nothing happens. I hope you make it home.
I'm with you. Sorry."
Yeah. Peter says she went through several days of fear and uncertainty. Rob. Several Days of Fear and Uncertainty is not only a beautiful episode title, it's a very good name for a movie. Several Days of Fear and Uncertainty.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It is, absolutely.
While she waited for police to find out what she'd been injected with, because you would be worried, Rob, very worried. Police recovered. Can you imagine the police ring? Police ring you and you say, "So, what was in the syringes?" "Well, madam, it was semen."
It's. Yeah, do you know what? I'm not going to even comment on that because it's just odd. It's just
I just
strange.
wish it had happened in the frozen food aisle, because then maybe this man was confusing himself for Captain Birdseye.
So, are you trying to maintain that Captain Birdseye has gone around? Oh, right, okay. Thank God for that.
He's a seaman.
I thought you were implying that he did some unsavoury things on board his ship.
Well, that too.
Well, that may have happened, but
police recovered a syringe full of semen from the suspect's car as well, Rob.
Oh,
he's got them everywhere.
Do you reckon, oh God, yeah, no, it's going to make. Do you reckon he just has a boot full of semen? Just that. It's just lined with plastic bags, and every morning he goes outside, knocks one off into the boot of the car, shuts it, goes back to bed.
Oh God!
Sorry, that's grim. I appreciate that.
Well, Rob, you've made me feel ill, but unfortunately, do you want another cum story, Rob?
Can I say
another one? No.
Go on then.
This is from the New Straits Times, Indonesia.
Sorry, what's the title?
The New Straits Times, Straits.
I think we've actually had this. I think we've had this paper before.
Well, it was established in 1865, Rob.
So there's a possibility then. Okay.
Yeah. Indonesia official says, in quotes, "strong sperm can impregnate women in swimming pool."
Again, is this woefully... No, sorry, I'm about to say inadequate, but I suppose unintelligible men who thinks this. What is he talking about?
So, okay, an Indonesian official is facing possible sanctions on Thursday after she warned women it was a woman. So you can
I
take
was a
that back,
woman.
Rob. I know, a woman. After she warned women they could get pregnant by swimming in a pool where men with strong sperm had ejaculated. Now, Rob, I sometimes like a swim. You sometimes like a swim. Have you ever, or do you think you will ever, ejaculate in the pool?
No. Under what possible
I mean, obviously, I'm taking out
circumstance?
the whole Honey Monster episodes, but I'm just saying, outside of that, do you think you'd ever ejaculate in a pool?
I was in the pool, but anyway, that's not the point. No. Why would you? I mean...
It could be aroused, Rob.
But... The
To be fair, Rob, you only
you'll
go
be
swimming
seen.
when it's senior citizens and older, so you're probably all right.
Yes, because it's cheaper, Alex, not because of anything else. Although that fake ID really does pay off, I must admit. I mean, I'm slightly offended that people think I'm over 65, but that's not the point. No, but this I would be too worried that I would be caught ejaculating because I'm assuming this is a public swimming pool as well.
No, hang on a minute. So you're thinking of actual that you'd have to masturbate to ejaculation, whereas some people might just spontaneously ejaculate, Rob.
Oh, I see. But they'd have to be aroused, and surely there must be. I suppose I don't know. I don't know enough about premature ejaculation to. Yeah,
Well,
I don't
Rob,
know.
This woman, who's a Child Protection Commission member in Indonesia, drew controversy and online ridicule after her unscientific comments to a major media outlet last week. In a swimming pool, there's a certain kind of sperm that's very strong, she said. If a person is aroused and ejaculates in the pool, a pregnancy can happen, even though there's no sexual penetration. Online, some men pledged to buy condoms before heading to the pool. They were being ironic. While a picture of a shark-shaped sperm closing in on a female swimmer, parodying the poster for the 1975 movie Jaws, went viral.
Wow.
Not all men are aroused when they're swimming with women. Health influencer Blog Doctor told his 1.7 million Twitter followers in a rebuke to her comments. But even if a man was aroused and ejaculated in a pool, the sperm would quickly die in chlorinated water. Yeah, I'm assuming, Rob, with all my days of swimming, I am completely sterile.
Yeah, apparently so am I, which is always good to know.
So, Rob, that's the cum story's over. You can breathe a sigh
Thank
of
God for
relief.
that.
Let's get on
More
to
next
real...
week.
Rob, this is a classic in every sense of the word local anaesthetic, local news story. Because it embodies everything this podcast has ever been about. It's from mylondon.news, which is a London-based news. It's exactly the same as all the local news websites. Same format, same everything.
Right.
Headline. Oh, sorry, it's by Joe Pagnelli. Good name. 29th of February, 2020. UK's most opinionated man has penned angry letters to his local paper every single day for 42 years.
I've heard this story.
Well, the strapline
I've heard
is
this
Bernie...
story this week, and I can't think where I've heard it.
Well, Bernie Carroll has been sending obsessive ramblings to the Liverpool Echo since 1978, Rob.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember the story, to be fair, but...
The UK's most opinionated man has penned angry letters to his local paper every day for 42 years. Bernie Carroll, 70, has been sending daily obsessive ramblings to the Liverpool Echo since 1978. He first wrote a letter mocking the council about something he, in quotes, can't even remember. It was the first of many as the compulsive writer has sent more than 15,000 letters to the paper, amassing roughly 4 million words over the years. Not bad. The letters were initially yeah, Bernie's column. Like Nelson's column. The letters were initially a way for Bernie to vent his spleen about the, in quotes, militant council of the 1970s and 80s in Liverpool, where he lives. A good episode title.
Okay.
Over the years, hasn't been a single topic he hasn't had an opinion on. His most recent letters focus on his frustrations at the non-stop fireworks in his area and dog poo bags being left hanging from park railings.
Which I think has been a consistent feature. I think we've talked about this on several occasions. So
Shits has come up a few times, Rob.
It has, yeah.
Bernie said, I'm the most opinionated man in the UK. There's nothing I won't have an opinion on. In the 80s, it was utter lunacy. I just felt angry all the time and had no outlet until I started writing the letters. They once sent taxis to give out redundancy notices to teachers. I'm sure that money was well spent. My current annoyance is with these non-stop fireworks that keep going off. It's like people have money to burn. And these dog poo bags that hung around park railings. It's a tasteless, new Brit art genre intended to provoke thought and debate, like Tracy Emin's grubby bed. Now, Rob, I'm sure you're on my wavelength here. A tasteless new Brit art genre intended to provoke thought and debate has to be one of our greatest ever episode titles and could also be a good summary of this podcast.
It's very long, Alex.
No, listen, a tasteless new Brit art genre intended to provoke thought and debate.
Okay, yeah. I must admit that it is very strong. Yeah.
It's one of the best ever. I know my letters probably won't ever lead to any actual change or solve any issues, but it's a cathartic experience for me. Writing gives me closure. I think it helps me to cope with all the anger I have. His letters are typically critical, but also humorous, as he says it's easier to get his point across that way. The former musician spends each morning reading the Liverpool Echo before scanning the Nationals to find new, in quotes, beef. Now I'm assuming he's not sort of hunting for, I don't know. I think that means he's looking for things to complain about, nothing else, Rob, just to be clear.
Yeah, not just going down, not venturing out to the local fields and trying to find some cattle.
Well, I also just wonder, yeah, and it doesn't matter. His process, you know, like ads, I thought he could be reading ads from the sort of Lonely Hearts looking for sort of, you know, sexual.
Oh, I see. Okay. I do wonder whether he's now achieved, because I may be wrong, but I do wonder whether he's achieved his objective.
I wonder if he could get into the Guinness World Book of Records.
Possibly. And I just wondered if all he wanted was just a response from the Liverpool Echo, or just for them to interview him. That's all he wanted. He just wanted his 5 minutes of fame. And now,
I don't think he did. Rob, he says he's I don't think he did. He says he's angry and he needs this to vent his anger.
Okay.
His process involves research followed by an hour where he neatly jots down his thoughts on any loose paper he can get his hands on. Assume it's loo roll, anything, Rob.
Yeah.
He's a stickler for grammar and says he carefully edits every letter to roughly 250 words so they're short but incisive. That's impressive, Rob. After reading about competitive eating sometime in January this year, Bernie felt compelled once again to write to his local paper. He wrote, "Competitive eating, whoever entered this obscene abomination and why when there are people in Yemen eating their pets and living off tree bark?"
Again, I know he said he does research, but where's he going for that research?
Writing on the sudden rise of lip fillers among young women, he opined, "There is something deeply unedifying about So I do love this man's way with words. We should get him to write our episode titles. Just listen to this. "There is something deeply unedifying about cajoling young people into undergoing unnecessary cosmetic procedures in the interest of profit, and it should be discouraged. Paying good money to look slightly like Mick Jagger is a strange way of improving one's physical appearance."
Do you know what? Actually, that's a very fair point. I cannot disagree with him on that.
Yep. The new TransPennine trains have not escaped his ire. He said TransPennine have recently introduced their state-of-the-art fleet of trains, built in Spain, tested in the Czech Republic, and brought to a virtual standstill in Britain. While Bernie takes the time to write a letter each morning, only 3 or 4 get published each week, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's I would say that's quite a successful hit rate, I would have thought.
He says he used to write every letter by hand, but after spending £20 a week on postage, he now drafts them by hand and sends them to the paper via email, which has made being angry more affordable, he says. I love this.
That's good to know. I'm glad. Yeah. Do you know what, Alex? I think I've really come around to this man's way of thinking. I actually really like him. I'd like to read some of his letters.
A linguist fluent in German and Russian. That makes me worried about him, though, Rob, you know. Maybe communist/fascist tendencies.
Or both.
Or both. Bernie hates the word amazing, but said he has only begun to learn about emojis and is a fan. Bernie, who's been married for 20 years, said, "I'm just getting my head around emojis at the moment. It's a great idea. Haven't been able to use them yet. The one word that always annoys me is amazing. It's like the only adjective anyone ever uses, and it's completely lost its meaning." Bernie and his wife Stephanie never had children, which is why he believes he's had so much time to write to his paper. He said, "I've been writing letters longer than I've been with my wife, and I think writing them probably saved my marriage, as I don't have to pester her anymore." Presumably for the beef that he was looking for. "I've got no children, so maybe that's given me more time to write letters. I don't have time for children. I've never been able to commit to doing anything in my life other than the letters and my marriage."
I'm just thinking though, it's a bit of a shame because obviously he's. It sounds like he's writing these letters as a way to calm his libido. He should just go down to the local municipal swimming pool and just have a wank.
Absolutely. Okay, Rob. You've got some stories.
Yeah. This first story I was debating about whether to read. It's not about death. I mean, no one really gets harmed in it, but it's just a bit of a strange story. So
Rob, nobody ever really dies. nobody's ever really gone. So you can cover anything.
You're right, Alex. It's a good point. No one's forgotten until the last person who knew them died. God, that's bleak. Anyway, right. Anyway,
No, I more meant that everybody lives on, Rob. The death.
Yes,
that's what I meant. The death is not the final curtain.
Okay.
I was being philosophical.
Right. Good. For you. So this is from the Stroud News and Journal. It's from the 4th of March by John Hawkins.
I love... okay, John Hawkins... Sorry, can we just speculate? I know you can't base everything off a name, but John Hawkins sounds like he was once, like, I don't know, like a very prestigious journalist or somebody in news. And something happened and he's now been relegated to writing local papers for the Stroud News and Journal, but it's really way beneath him.
I can believe that. So, what would it be? I think it would be some high-profile scandal, something that I think he's written about, that for whatever reason finds out that unfortunately the underlying evidence wasn't particularly sound, and unfortunately...
He used to do a programme called Eye on Britain with John Hawkins. The idea of the Hawkeye. And
Brilliant.
they'd have, the Hawkeye segment. But yeah, something has happened. Well, I don't think we should speculate, Rob, because we don't want to besmirch this man's fine name.
No. And hopefully he can return to the position he once was, but unfortunately...
We don't know what that was.
Career prospects, yeah. I mean, it's basically what we're saying is just complete bullshit. Anyway, so, headline. Stroud man who once shot his dad with BB gun, jailed for shining laser at his dad's eyes.
What's he got against his dad? Sorry, he shot his dad with a BB gun. Now he's been jailed for shining a laser into his eyes.
Correct. It's a really strange story.
But those are the best ones, Rob. It will be the detail. Come on.
Yeah. So, a Stroud man with a past conviction for shooting his father in the chest with a BB gun was jailed yesterday for pointing a powerful laser beam into his dad's eyes.
If he is trying to murder his dad, right, he's using shitty methods to try and do it.
Do you know what I mean?
It reminds me of the old cartoons with Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. He keeps trying to get his dad, but he doesn't understand that you just use a real gun or a sharp thing through the eyes, a laser in the eye, and the BB gun in the chest. It's not going to do the job.
Well, I think this is a war of attrition. Really, he's just grinding him down with these really sort of inconsequential actions. And one day his dad's just going to give up.
That's a lovely turn of phrase. So yeah, grinding him down with a something of inconsequential actions.
A series of meaningless, inconsequential actions.
Yes, that could be the episode title if the other one wasn't so good.
Yeah. Adrian King, 23, was in trouble for the moment he arrived at Gloucester.
Sorry, what's his name?
Adrian King.
I thought you said Agent King. Right, Adrian King. That's a fine name.
So, Adrian King, 23, was in trouble from the moment he arrived at Gloucester Crown Court.
From the moment he was born.
Do you know, that's exactly what I thought. I don't know why. My mind drifted to Rocky Horror.
He's a wrong un.
Because security guards found a large screwdriver in his rucksack.
So what the fuck was he going to use that for?
We don't know. We've no idea.
Right. Screwing in some screws.
He does have an excuse. So they confiscated it, and it was shown to the judge, Ian Laurie, QC, in court before he was sentencing King. He said he had found the screwdriver.
He brought the screwdriver to court.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Sorry, 1 second. My cat is having a wee.
Rob's cat is having a wee break, everybody. So we'll be back shortly.
Anyway, so what? Yeah, so he brought the screwdriver to court because, and he said he'd found the screwdriver and had intended to sell it.
Now, look, you could be walking to court and find a screwdriver and think that's handy. I don't think I'd think about selling it. You wouldn't get much money for it. It depends. Maybe it was an electric one.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think it was just a normal screwdriver.
Right.
But maybe he needed the cash and so found the screwdriver, as he claims.
But I think if I was him, my appearance at court would take precedence over me needing to sell the screwdriver, and I think to myself, turning up to court with a screwdriver in my bag, not going to go down well with the judge. If I found a knife, for example, what if he'd found a knife? What if he found an AK-47? What if he'd found an axe?
Exactly.
What if he'd found a pack of razor blades?
Maybe he thought, I want to sell the screwdriver. Who's got a lot of money? A judge. Maybe he's trying to sell it to the judge. Who knows?
This is it, Rob. His talents are wasted. You're right. He's an entrepreneur. He's what Tory Britain is looking for.
Exactly. So the judge heard that on November... yeah, that's all he is. The judge heard that on November 1st last year, King, 23, was living with his parents in Thrupp, which is a town near Stroud, when his father, Stephen, was woken up at 4 a.m. by what he thought was the noise coming from the central heating.
I'm loving where this is going.
Janine Wood, prosecuting, said he went downstairs to investigate and found his son making a noise, and he challenged him. Then
what noise? What was the noise? What was he making a noise like a boiler? He's just sitting down.
Just a bubbling noise. Yeah, just intermittent noises sounding like, the
boiler.
Water going through the pipes, yeah. Or something, I don't know. I have no idea. What does central heating sound like?
Rob doesn't have central heating, listeners, so he doesn't know. Him and Sarah sit round the fire in the garden.
I can't disagree with that. Anyway, and he challenged him. They had an argument during which the son picked up They had an argument during which the son picked up a kitchen pan and banged it down with so much force that the handle fell off.
So, Rob, there's something seriously wrong in this relationship, right? So first of all, the son's downstairs, presumably trying to wake up his father by making annoying sounds to sound like the boiler impressions. The dad goes down, goes, look, what the hell's going on? And somehow this leads to the son hitting his father with a frying pan, or was it?
No. He didn't hit his father. Okay, basically he hit the frying pan down on a surface, and
stop interrupting my boiler impressions. Yeah,
yeah, exactly that.
Because he's practicing his one-man stand-up.
Yeah, good point. For all we know, as you rightly say, he might be sort of practicing for a really sort of avant-garde.
He does fan, so he does like impressions of like a fan in a room, a printer, the sound of somebody sweeping the floor, very sort of mundane things.
Exactly, yeah. So Adrian King then went on a rampage in the house, damaging one of the bedroom doors before calming down and returning to his own room.
Calming down completely, like nothing ever happened. Night, Dad.
Yeah.
Love you.
So Mr. King decided a short while later to check on his son when he entered his bedroom, but he was subjected to a powerful laser beam being pointed towards him in a violent manner. Sorry.
It's like the son was waiting for him. He's like waiting. And then, what's that laser? I've got an image. Oh, people can't see us over webcam, but like the door opens and the laser comes out, and the dad's like, thrust backwards. Sorry.
I just imagine, right? He walks in literally into a pitch black room, and suddenly all he sees is this like
a lightsaber,
or like a sniper rifle. It's like that's all he can see.
Rob. Sorry, I know I sometimes interject, and I have been recently with funny stories from my university days. I don't know if you know
I've been enjoying these.
I don't know if you know this one. So
I think I might do. Is this the one about you having something confiscated?
What did I have confiscated?
Didn't you have? I thought you had a laser pointer. No, that wasn't you. That was me. Sorry, ignore that.
I love the fact you're confusing your life with mine, but that's fine. No, I want to know that. When I was in my third year of university, one of my flatmates was a Czechoslovakian guy. Won't reveal his name.
Right.
He was a big guy, looked like a wrestler. And one day he revealed he had this BB rifle that we didn't know he had. And he brought it down. So basically, I was living in Brighton, and we were up the top of this massive hill, cut into the hills, and from the back window you could see kind of over like the downs, like the hills, we were really high up, and you could see down like into very rural areas actually, and like a guy out in his garden stroke allotment, far in the distance. Rob, when I say in the distance, I think I'm talking about really in the distance, enough that you could see him, not enough that he was a pin, but enough that you could see him. And anyway,
okay,
we did. I don't know what we were doing with this rifle, but we were sort of just mucking around with it and pointing out the window. It was a very bright summer's day, Rob. So we opened the window and we were pointing it out and like looking through the scope. And then this guy who's wearing like, one of those sort of very farmers sort of like wear, like one of these sort of green body, what they call body warmers.
Like
He's got his
gilet
Wellington
kind of
boots.
thing.
He's got his rake.
Yeah.
He's far in a distance. He presumably looks up and sees a gun pointing at him as a window. And he literally went into blind panic, like sort of hopping on the spot, screaming and shouting, and ran off. At which point... Oh, that was it. He screamed, "I'm going to call the police." At which point we hid the gun in the house and left the house for the rest of the day. We didn't come back until very late in case the police came. Probably wasn't the best strategy because presumably if they were that bothered, they would have come back the next day. But we were really worried. We were,
I feel that you've actually committed an offence there.
Yeah, that was an offence, yeah.
Yeah. Which makes my story of having a laser pointer confiscating at the security at Stansted Airport pale into insignificance.
Were you shining it at somebody's face?
No, I just had it on
No,
me
you're
as
right.
a kid.
In my story, we did threaten you're right. We did inadvertently threaten somebody with a firearm.
If there are any police officers listening, I'd just like to say that this was before that I knew Alex, and so I was in no means connected to this particular offence.
Right. Anyway, back to the story.
Right. Okay. So the father just walked into the bedroom. Okay. To check on his son, to make sure his son's okay after his rampage around the house, and suddenly he's met with, and I quote, "a powerful laser being pointed towards him in a violent manner."
Which is a very good episode title. Not as good as the first one, Rob. The last one, we've got to have it, but that is fucking good.
So the defendant pointed at his father's body from his legs, working his way up his body.
Like in the movies.
Yeah. The father knew that the laser was powerful enough to set set things on fire.
Sorry, what kind of fucking laser is this?
I was going to ask you exactly the same question. Where on earth can you get this kind of laser? I don't think this is commonly available as far as I'm aware. So Mr. King knew that the laser was powerful enough to set things on fire because he'd been shown videos on the internet, and consequently he immediately became scared for his own safety.
See, I think this is a campaign of systematic intimidation, right? And what's happened is the son has sort of massaged this situation over many weeks. So he's so in normal circumstances, "Hey, Dad, have a look at this video, this laser." And then the next day, "Oh, Dad, have another look at this laser. I got this." And it's all bullshit. They don't really set things on fire. But he's like, "Oh, yeah, no. I've got one." And then he waits for this time, and the dad, shits himself.
I mean, this could be systematic intimidation, to be fair.
Yeah, it is.
Things then got very heated when Adrian King shined the laser in his father's eyes. He left the room, he went downstairs, and as he did so, he was aware that the laser beam was following him, and it was bouncing around his body. Mr. King then took refuge.
Where's the wife?
I don't
Where's
know.
the mum?
I don't understand. Mr. King then took refuge in the bathroom. In the meantime, another family member
cowering, Rob,
and his son was arrested on his arrival. Judge Lorien interjected and said, "I sense the terror the father would have felt." The court was told about the incident that led to King's receiving a 16-month suspended sentence in September 2018. King had shot his father in the chest with a BB gun that repeatedly hit him over the head with the butt of a weapon. Don't know what that was, doesn't say, leaving a visible scar. So I think, this isn't a particularly nice... And I think this...
Rob, this sounds like a Bottom episode.
Yeah, it does, I know.
It's the kind of thing that Richie and Eddie used to get up to. This sort of cartoon violence.
And do you know what it is? I think this father, these two parents literally are trying to support their son. I think he has it obviously clearly
difficulties. Yeah.
Yeah. And even the judge said, you've presented me with a sentencing dilemma. You have shown a degree of compliance with the court order. The court order was for the BB gun. But I have
he brought a screwdriver into the court, Rob.
Alex, he was trying to sell it. What's wrong with that? As you said, it was an entrepreneurial move on his part. Yes, it was ill-conceived. Just to say, the judge sentenced King to 18 months in prison.
But as he was doing so, the judge noticed a laser was being pointed at his eyes. Okay, Rob, you got another story for us.
Yeah, so my next story is a follow-on from last week's story about the service horse going first class on the plane?
Now, yes. Now, Rob, didn't I say to you last week? I remember saying last week, and you probably know when you listen to the edit, I said for you to look at something to follow up and that we'd have it as a campfire segment. Was it this?
It was. Oh, yes. Was it a campfire? Right,
so
okay.
shout for Rob, because it's actually quite cold at the moment. We are recording for the fastidious amongst you on the 5th of March. So, Rob, should I light the campfire?
Please do.
Oh, let's... Okay. Rob,
that's nice.
What did we used to say when we used to... Oh, that was it. You used to tell us the surroundings. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah,
and
of course. Yeah, okay. Right, okay. So, listeners, why not close your eyes and picture a nice vista. So you're standing on the top of a mountain, possibly the Lake District. You're looking out over the beautiful surroundings, and then right below, down in the valley, you can see this glistening blue turquoise lake in the bottom. And on the top of the hills, you just see the mountains and just the clouds moving in. But it's not going to rain. Don't worry about that. It's a crisp, cold night, which would be perfect to light a bonfire.
Campfire.
What's it? It's the same thing. Anyway,
You never used to say bonfire, Rob. Ever. You always said campfire.
It's been a long time, Alex. Anyway, look. What better...
A bonfire gives me an image of just basically some old car tyres, newspaper, any old bollocks in somebody's back garden.
Look, Alex, I've told you, we don't have central heating. That's what we do of an evening, okay? I would appreciate if you stop bringing it up. Anyway, look. Why not enjoy the campfire with this story that will hopefully help you to fall asleep after the episode is finished, or in Amy's case, halfway through. Anyway, right. So, as I said, this is a story that was that I saw halfway through the story from last week. Now, it does go back a bit. It goes back to October 2018.
Remind people of the story from last week, Rob, in case they didn't hear it.
So that was the service horse that the owner, the service horse, which for some reason I don't think was mentioned in the article. The service horse was called Flirty, by the way. I just put that out there.
No.
So the owner had very kindly paid for her to go on her first flight in first class, and apparently was sitting on the seat.
She was also an emotional support horse.
She was, yeah, and she had a lycra outfit on this, had a support horse. It's all very strange. Anyway,
what I remember about the story was this woman thought that the whole trend of people taking emotional support animals had gone too far, and yet she was bringing a fucking horse on a plane.
Well, I think she was trying to make the distinction that this was a support horse. So like a seeing eye dog or hearing dog, this was apparently...
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, this horse, I don't know, does the washing or picks you up in her car, I don't know. Anyway, so the related story that happened to be one of the top read stories from the article was this. So this is from the Dallas Morning News. I said it's from October last year. No, year before actually, October 2018. And the headline is: Emotional support squirrel's owner flips the bird as delayed flight's other passengers cheer her removal.
Emotional support of that's it. I went mental, didn't I, about an emotional support squirrel? I demanded that you find this story. A fucking squirrel. I think I said they're not even domesticated. A squirrel.
No.
I'd love to have a pet squirrel. If squirrels weren't actually vicious, which they are, I'd like to just walk around with a squirrel on my shoulder.
Okay, yeah. It would be a talking point, I'll be honest.
It would.
And that talking point would be, why is that madman have a squirrel on his shoulder?
Maybe. Because he's nuts.
It's a very... Oh, maybe. yeah, exactly. No. Yeah. Good answer. So, a flight from Orlando to Ohio was delayed nearly 2 hours on Tuesday after a woman tried to fly with her emotional support squirrel. Which is just, even reading it out...
It didn't end up getting flushed down the toilet, did it, Rob?
No. No, thankfully not, no. So the Frontier Airlines flight, which left nearly 2 hours later than scheduled, was heading from Orlando to Cleveland, according to WKYC TV. When she arrived for the flight 1612, the unidentified woman revealed that the support animal had been cleared ahead of time was actually a squirrel, which is not allowed on the airline, Fox 8 reported. Frontier Airlines only allows cats and dogs on its flights, as noted on esadoctors.com, a site that provides information on where certain emotional support animals are allowed. The airline specified...
Sorry, Rob. She
Yes.
thought it was a good idea to bring a squirrel on board a plane where there are cats and dogs.
Well, no. Hang on. We don't know. No. They allow cats and dogs on flights, but we
Which
don't
probably
know
means there are going to be
particular
some on
flights.
there. You don't want a squirrel there as well, then, do you?
I mean, to be honest, I can't think of anything worse than if some. Just imagine a squirrel getting loose on a plane. A squirrel that's clearly distressed.
Yeah, that would have been better than snakes on a plane. Squirrels on a
Yeah.
plane.
Yeah, that's gonna nibble your nuts, and also your bags of peanuts. Sorry, that's a cheap gag. Anyway, who cares? The airline also specifies that it does not permit rodents on flights, meaning squirrels are a no-go.
The fact that they have to specify that shows how crazy the world has gone. No rodents. What
Yeah,
else do you have to
it's one of
specify?
those-
No sharks. No sharks allowed on this flight. Sorry.
Camels are just out of the question. I'm sorry, they won't fit, and they'll
Elephants.
need
Yeah,
at least
no
2 seats.
elephants.
Yeah, exactly.
No
Yeah,
crocodiles.
your baggage allowance.
Alligators are okay. No crocodiles.
It is one of those things that you just think you don't have to say, but unfortunately, there's always someone out there that just needs that extra clarification.
Does that mean Roland Rat can't board a flight anywhere in the world?
Absolutely. That's
Right.
why he needs a private jet.
I wonder how. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay.
Or he maybe takes a lot of cruises, which at this time of year is unadvisable. Anyway, so a video posted by a name called Brandon Nixon on Twitter appears to show the woman getting kicked off the flight. And he says, "So I'm flying back to Cleveland and everyone got on the plane, then was asked to exit the plane," he wrote. Only to later find out a woman had brought a squirrel in her hand luggage and labelled it as her emotional support pet. They refused to get off the plane until the cops came. Can you imagine the gall of that?
I can start the idea of
So-
the police turning up armed. Release the squirrel.
I like the idea that the first thing they did is they shot the squirrel and then told her to get off.
Yeah.
No questions asked. They just kill the squirrel there and then tell her to fuck off.
Yep.
As she's wheeled away in her wheelchair, the woman tells onlookers to shut up before raising her middle finger. The video shows. A few people begin to applaud as she's taken from the flight. The video shows and gives a thumbs up and says, "Thank you." And then he says, "You can't make this stuff up."
How did she domesticate the squirrel?
We don't know she did, Alex.
What, you think she's
Or
just
we-
fucking kidnapped squirrel napped a live squirrel from a park and shoved it in her handbag?
All we know, I mean, we don't know what's happened here. All we know, she's been in her back garden, okay? She's laid a trail of acorns into, I don't know, a holdall.
Rob, this
and
isn't
the squirrel's
Chippendale.
got her there. No.
Trail of fucking acorns. I reckon it was
Well,
a
I
dead
don't know.
squirrel, Rob. I reckon it was a dead squirrel.
Well, in that case, she should be allowed to fly. If you ask me. It's not going to hurt anyone, also it's a tasty snack.
Agreed. Better than anything on an airplane, Rob.
Exactly.
Okay, Rob, I found this next story reported in lots of places, but I found the best write-up to be from the Times of London.
Okay.
It is by Dave Finlay from February the 25th, 2020. Rob, this is just brilliant. Everything about this story is brilliant. Headline: Blundering robber forgot eye holes for his mask.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay.
A bank robber who forgot to cut eye holes in his makeshift mask and was forced to remove it, exposing his face, has been jailed for 4.5 years. It's kind of all you need, really.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Surely,
Now,
if
Rob-
you're planning a bank robbery, that's one thing you check.
Well, yeah, the word there is plan. Look, I've never even considered it. But if I was considering, let alone going to orchestrate any kind of heist or robbery, my planning would be meticulous. I would pore over every element of it. I'm not going to do anything. Just need to be clear.
I don't understand because what was it?
I'm going to tell you, Rob.
Was it
So, Rob,
stock? Okay, yeah, fine.
Rob, can I just mention, in the past, I think maybe in the first 100 episodes or something, we used to sometimes reference your bastard brother. Do you remember?
No,
Do you not remember that? We used to reference your bastard brother.
I don't remember that in the slightest.
Well, you should. And any long-time listeners who remember me referencing that Rob doesn't actually have any siblings, but I used to say to Rob that I reckon he had a brother and his brother was a bastard. Anybody who remembers that, tell Rob and tell what episode it is, because he doesn't remember and I'm worried for him. And the reason I'm mentioning that now is that this man is called Matthew Davies. So maybe this is the brother we've been mentioning all this time.
And again, surname's Davis, not Davies, isn't it? There's no way
Rob, come on, don't. Rob, don't suppress your Welsh origins. Matthew Davies wore a pillowcase to carry out the raid on the branch of Bank of Scotland. So first of all, Rob, he's decided to go with the pillowcase over the head.
Again, going back to the idea of planning, this is just something he's grabbed on the way out of the house. This is not planning.
Well, he found, Rob, that the disguise hindered his sight. So let's give you the details.
Well, it
Lorraine
would do.
Lorraine Glancy mitigation, and even if you did cut eye holes in it, it wouldn't stay stable enough. You know, it's a shit idea. Anyway, Lorraine Glancy mitigation told the High Court in Edinburgh, I would have loved to have been at these proceedings, when he was in the bank, in order to be able to see the person he was trying to rob, he was required to expose his face, not only to that person, but to CCTV cameras operational in the bank. So basically, he went in he put the pillowcase over his head, realised he couldn't see, and then in order to be able to converse or see what he was doing, he had to take it off and reveal his identity. At which point, I guess at that point, you must think there's no point me abandoning this. I have to go through with it because I've gone this far and people already know who I am anyway, so I might as well try and get some money out of it.
Also, yeah, I mean, did he? The thing is, did he then sort of, raise the pillowcase so he could see the cashier make his demand, and then put it back over his head, or did he just discard it?
Well, okay. She added, the robbery charge is one that is completely out with his normal character, and one that, when looked at objectively, was unlikely to ever go successfully. I love that.
That's what a quote that is. Bloody hell.
So Rob, this is how it worked. Do you want to hear how it worked?
Of course.
So he goes into the bank. It gets worse. So he goes into the bank, and Davies pulls a meat. He goes to the bank holding a pillowcase.
Right. Yep.
Not with.
Sorry, holding a pillowcase. It's not even on his head.
No. Pulled the meat cleaver from the pillowcase.
Right.
It's like he's watched too many cartoons, right? And then put the pillowcase over his head. However, he quickly had to remove it to carry out the robbery. And the prosecution told the court this was due to a failure to create eye holes. Can you imagine he's in prison? Oh yeah, Matthew, what are you in here for? Oh yeah, failure to create eye holes. Yeah.
Does it say? Did he? Was it successful? Did he manage to make off with any cash?
Yeah, don't worry. Davies, 47, managed to rob an employee at the bank in Dunfermline, Fife, of £1,980 on September the 23rd after brandishing the meat cleaver and demanding cash. He repeatedly struck a glass partition with the cleaver. He told the teller, "Give me the hang on, give me the money. I'm fucking warning you."
I mean, Alex, he's
posh
Scottish.
people can rob banks too. Can I just say?
Could you do that? I need to do that again because he's Scottish. He's not from South East London.
Scottish. Give me the money. I'm fucking warning you.
Actually, that's quite good.
But was it? I thought it was pretty shit. Davies was initially given about £300, but demanded more. Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
He motioned towards the female customer and warned, "I don't want to fucking hurt her." A man going into the bank decided to follow Davies as he escaped. The witness said that the robber walked. Right, Rob, I'd forgotten this. Oh my God. How am I going to read this out? So a man going into the bank saw this guy leaving, with his meat cleaver and pillowcase. He thought this doesn't look right. So decided to follow him. And what he observed was that the bank robber walked away slowly, paused to pat a dog on the head, and returned to his home nearby.
Oh my sweet Lord.
What
are you doing? Oh God!
And then when the police got to his house, Rob, they found cash and a pillowcase, like the one used in the raid, along with a stun gun. Maybe this is the guy.
Why would you take that?
Rob, maybe this is the guy who lives with that bloke, and he's the one with the laser.
Maybe, yeah. They just, they just like to trade weapons, sell them to other people, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Apparently, for most of his life, he'd been a pro-social member of society. However, his marriage floundered and he ran into financial problems. A successful tree surgery business, of which he was a director, also hit difficulties.
It's quite sad because honestly,
Rob, I know that, but it's just a tree surgery business which hit the rocks. I don't know why not many people are wanting tree surgery now, but they're not. And his mental health... Hang on, Rob. His mental health deteriorated and he began to use crack cocaine.
Yeah, well,
I think he must have done this on drugs.
Yeah, I mean, this just... It just typifies a man who's just really down on his luck, and this is a last resort, basically.
Well, actually, Rob, apparently he did it not to gain any financial advantage, but because he saw prison as an alternative to the situation he found himself in.
Yeah, because that's really quite... that's very depressing. It's again, quite a telling indictment of our society.
Yes, it's bleak. Anyway, hey, it's time for a listener story.
Hey, let's try and pick the fucking mood up.
It's time for our listener story of the week. Who's it from, Rob?
It's from Amy.
Rob, we are really running out of time, by the way. So, Amy, sorry,
okay.
but we're going to have to get through this very quickly.
Okay, it's from Amy. It's from the Manchester Evening News. It's by Rachel Pugh, who is the money saving and shopping editor. Very
what the fuck?
Very niche title. Headline: Gran's Asda cock-up leaves her with bumper pack of condoms instead of tea bags.
And we return full circle back to the theme of semen.
Hopefully not. So, when you nip to the supermarkets, chances are you'll return home with some cheeky extra purchases you weren't planning on buying. We're talking large tubs of ice cream, family-sized desserts, and oversized boxes of chocolates, all of which you can enjoy.
Good episode title.
yeah, good point, yeah. All of which you can enjoy in a single sitting. What you probably didn't expect, though, is to return with a 17-pack of condoms, which you thought were tea bags.
I get those every time I go to the supermarket, Rob.
I always put condoms in my tea. You know, it really filters out the shit.
Yeah, it does. They're the best filter, honestly. You just let anything through. 99%. You only get the 0.1% coming out, Rob.
Absolutely. You stretch it over the tea bag, you put your tea leaves in, and you just pour the hot water through it. Beautiful.
And if you get a flavoured one, Rob, then you get a nice sort of herbal tea.
Yeah.
Sort of flavour. Like
you
cherry, licorice, whatever they do them in, I don't know.
Just use it afterwards to pleasure your partner. Don't do that. Unfortunately, that's what happened to a 70-year-old who got the shock of her life when she was unpacking her supermarket shop at home. On Tuesday, Rosemary Riley decided to battle the elements and popped to Asda to pick up a few items, which included tea, bread, and dog food. Hopefully she's got a dog.
Oh, God. Tory Britain. Tory fucking Britain. Rob, that does make me think how many people have resorted to that. Oh, fuck.
The thing is the dog food is edible. It has to be by law.
Of course it's fucking edible. Yes,
anyway.
I know. Anyway.
But while she was browsing the shelves without her glasses, the Gran of 8, which maybe probably the condoms might come in handy, unknowingly slipped
yeah.
The Gran of 8 unknowingly slipped a 30-pack of Durex thin-filled condoms into a basket, believing them to be Tetley tea bags.
Sorry. No. Stop. They're completely different sections of the supermarket. What are you talking about? This is a good Specsavers advert. Rob.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Better than the ones they keep showing the same ones over and over again. Do that. That's a great idea. And then it's dunking it into a tea, everything. Oh, come on. Let's
Alex,
do it.
I don't think that's family friendly. A grandma dunking condoms in her tea.
Fuck it.
And then, strangely, the article says, "Oh, Rosemary Hunn, what an absolute legend." Very strange. Anyway, Rosemary didn't realise...
Do you think that would work, Rob? Sorry to interrupt. I do think like the best advertising campaign would be one that was just completely, utterly, I'm trying to think of the word.
Batshit crazy?
Just so arrogant and offensive, but self-assured. For example, not saying you should do this, Aldi, but like Aldi, do an advert on TV and your slogan is, "Come to Aldi or not, we don't give a fuck."
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know. Your shopping will be cheaper, but we don't give a shit.
Yes, yeah, I just love it.
Yeah. So anyway, Rosemary didn't realise until she'd returned home, and her husband John branded her a silly mare and asked why she bought them as part of their £26.75 shop. Why she bought them as part of
husband John branded her a slut.
But also,
what the fuck's going on?
Why didn't she question the fact that she gone out for bread? What was it? Tea, bread, and dog food. The shop came to 26 quid.
Rob, not only that, Rob, this story doesn't make sense in lots of aspects. Not only, Rob, did she pick up the condoms by accident thinking they were tea, she also had to go through the checkout and not notice.
That's what I'm saying. No, I know.
I think Rosemary needs to go to the opticians.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Thank you for that story, Amy. On that note, Rob, we bring this episode of Local Anaesthetic to a close, and we look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation, yet some degree of trepidation, to our next episode, which will be 306.
Yes, that's right.
As we move ever more forward, Rob, like a man carefully planning a bank robbery, walking into a bank holding a pillowcase which contains a meat cleaver, pulling out the meat cleaver, putting the pillowcase onto his head, only to realise that he forgot to put holes in the pillowcase, having to remove it, only to reveal his identity, try and get a few bits of change from the teller, and then calmly, coolly leave the bank and stop to pat a dog on the head. Just like that, move on forward to our next episode, which will be episode 306, like I said, Rob. We can be found on our website, which is lapodcast.net. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/lapodcast. We're on Twitter at @lapodcast. There's a donate button in the top right-hand corner of our website. You want to leave us a donation? You want to set up a rolling donation? Send us a tip? Hit that PayPal button on our website, lapodcast.net. You can do that. Wherever you're listening to us from, leave a review. Subscribe. We really appreciate that stuff. And we are on Spotify as well, by the way. And if you want to submit us a story, you can tweet it to us, post it on Facebook, or email us the good old-fashioned way. lapodcast.net@gmail.com. I'd almost forgotten it there, Rob. Nice. lapodcast.net@gmail.com. Rob, you want to finish the episode off?
Yes. I'd just like to say, have a very merry March. I hope all your dreams come true.
Good. When did the clocks change and all that bollocks?
I think it's towards the end of the month, isn't it? I don't know. I've no idea.
Right. Okay. We'll try and remind you, listeners, when it comes. Thank you for listening, everybody. God bless.
And keep it local.